long before this fight began by announcing that he wasn't prepared to fight the scheduled 10 rounds that everybody believed this fight was going over, but would not go beyond 8. So it is now an 8-round fight. Shinza versus Colin Jones, the British champion. Jones has won all his 16 professional fights and won all but 3 of them inside the distance. And that should tell you a little bit about the man's power of punch. But up against experience here in Shinza, 65 professional fights, 45 wins and 6 draws. And has been beaten inside the distance only twice in nearly 10 years of professional boxing. So on paper, and looking down his record, Shinza looks to me like a good opponent for Jones. In fact, perhaps more than that, a formidable one. The proceeds of this promotion tonight, Eddie Thomas's promotion, of course going to the Johnny Owen Appeal Fund, which is now past, I'm told, the £70,000 mark. And the money from that fund now will be used to help a church and a chapel and a hospital, all in Merthyr. And Jones returns to his corner with just a slight reddening of the nose where that left hand of Shinza's has been popping away there. Colin Jones, 21 years old, that's all he is. Stands up just over 5'6". He's not tall, stocky, sturdy, and a great puncher.
Seconds out. Round 2.
Shinza will be 33 next month, so he's almost 12 years older than Jones. He had his first pro fight, Shinza, in Belgium in April 1971, when Jones had just turned 12 years old. Interesting thing about Shinza's record is that he's had 10 fights against British opposition, and he's never lost to a British opponent yet. He's had 7 wins and 3 draws against British opponents. First time he's boxed in this country. That was almost low. Speed of punch is telling at the moment from Shinza. Just biding his time. Looking a little red around the face. Wait to see the first big right hand from Jones and see if it connects, what effect it has. This man is not easy to stop. End of the second round. And Jones has moved into a little bit of a lead with some smart, nifty boxing, fast punching, and beating Jones to the lead again and again, and has built himself just a small lead in those first 2 rounds.
Seconds out. Round 3.
Very much a fight that is yet to produce its thrills, but it will. Jones feeling his way against this more experienced opponent. Saving his right hand. Good right uppercut from Shinza. Moves nicely, light on his feet. Amazingly enough, he's a light middleweight, really, and I would think has had to take a fair bit of weight off to make this weight. He's coming at 10.7 tonight, Shinza, and that I would have thought is a bit below his usual fighting weight. And that might be why he didn't want to go 10 rounds tonight. He might be just a little bit worried about his stamina if he's had a job to get weight off. That's a good punch from Jones, and Shinza's in a bit of trouble with his right eye. And Jones hurt him with a good left. So now suddenly the tide turns in the third. And now for the first time Jones unleashes the big right hand again and again. And Shinza is most definitely hurt. He put his hands up to his right eye. And Jim Brimmel, the referee, has moved in to stop that in the third. And Shinza is complaining, I think, that he can't see from his right eye. And in my opinion, that was done with a very good left hand from Colin Jones in that third round. With about a minute to go of that round, he suddenly unleashed a very good, sharp, jolting left hand. And instantly, Shinza complained of some trouble with his right eye. And from that moment on, Jones, of course, saw his chance and opened up with both hands and won it. Well, I'm going to end the series with the most exciting fighter in Britain today, meeting this coloured American, Curtis Ramsey from Portland, Oregon, who looks sharp, and in fact his nickname is Razor Ramsey. Done most of his professional boxing as a light welterweight, but comes in tonight a pound over a welterweight limit, 10 stone 8, and he's just a pound heavier than Colin Jones, who's come in exactly on the weight that he holds the British and Commonwealth titles at, welterweight. Colin Jones from Gorsinan here in Wales, a man with a 100% professional record. Only 20 professional fights. He's won the lot. He's won 17 of them inside the distance, and the last 13 of those have been inside the distance. Already the outright holder of a Lonsdale belt. So all in all, young Colin Jones has come into the program and made a tremendous impression. Facially and hairstyle, Ramsey reminds me of Sugar Ray Leonard. Not sure his boxing will remind us of that, but we shall see. One thing's for sure, he better be nimble and keep out of the way of Jones's fists. The Welshman very seldom looks impressive in the early stages of a fight. This is his first fight since April 28, so he's a little out of real ring sharpness. Covering up when Ramsey comes inside. And Curtis Ramsey from Portland, Oregon, has stolen the points and the thunder in these first 3 minutes. April the 28th at the Royal Albert Hall in London when we last saw Colin Jones in action, and he beat the former British welterweight champion Kirkland Laing for the second time, and amazingly enough he did it precisely the way he'd done it the first time. The fight was stopped in the 9th after Laing had built a very useful points lead, and that will tell you all you need to know about the sort of punching power that this Welshman carries. As I said, in either hand. He did Laing once with a left, and the next time he did him with a right.
Second round, round 2.
And a hush falls over this crowd in the Sapphire Gardens Pavilion in Cardiff. This Welsh crowd knowing full well the sort of dynamite that Jones carries in his fists, and they're hoping to see it exploded. They're not quite sure when it's going to come. So there's a very ominous quiet. Jones is a man of a little experience. He's had 28 professional fights, but only 15 wins and 4 draws. Doesn't look too impressive, the record on paper. Ramsey, sensibly keeping his boxing going, boxing from long range most of the time, picking up points, a sharp left hand and the occasional right cross. Jones boxing on the same bill tonight as his younger brother Peter, who made his professional debut here in Cardiff tonight. Former ABA champion, as indeed Jones was, Colin Jones was. This contest beginning to shape itself like so many of Jones's fights that we've seen, with the other man picking up the early points. And Jones apparently imperturbable. He doesn't mind dropping behind, because he always has this feeling he can whip the punch across that will cancel out all that's gone before. Samples there, right to the head, and then that nice little left downstairs. Another good left, right up the middle there, and Ramsey didn't like that too much. He really didn't. He came away from that last punch when the bell went with a look at Jones, almost said, "Oh, so that's what you do when you're angry, is it?" And he didn't like it too much. Neither would I have done. And this is it, right at the end of the run. Just watch this punch that comes right up underneath. Oof! You can feel that here, right up the midriff. And Ramsey didn't appreciate that too much. And I think he's still trying to get his breath.
Round 3.
Colin Jones anxious to get on with it. He knows better than anybody what that punch did to Ramsey at the end of the second. Strangely enough, this man Ramsey has been beaten inside the distance once every year since 77. Steve Chase in 77, Jorge Morales in 78, Rodolfo Gonzalez stopped him in 79, Andy Gannigan of Honolulu in 80. Now I wonder if this is the one for 81. And he's grinning. And usually when fighters grin, it means that they've been hurt. And the grin comes automatically to try to assure the opponent that I'm all right. I wonder if he is. Jones appeared in his own country of Wales was last December, and he stopped his man then in the third round. This is the third. Good left jab, Ramsey has. Now. Adrian Morgan, Welsh referee. Jones shown nothing so far in this round like that good punch. And there's another one. Well, the referee thinks he's slapped. Now the referee's cautioning for slapping, and Rams is reeling and writhing all over the floor. doesn't think he was slapped. Now then, there's all sorts of controversy coming up here. And we'll see what the referee makes of this. Now, Morgan went to Colin Jones and warned him about slapping. Curtis Ramsey went to the floor, claiming he'd been badly hurt. There doesn't seem to have been a count. The referee doesn't want to know about a count. Ramsey's gone down to the floor again. Jones is proclaiming victory, and the referee's waving his arms, and we'll have to wait and see what his decision is. Anyway, whatever it is, it's all a bit unsatisfactory. Round 3. And now the seconds of Curtis Ramsey, the American, coming to his aid. I must say, it didn't look a slappy punch to me. I thought he caught him with a very good left hand under the ribs. And certainly Ramsey felt he'd been badly hurt. And now the referee has gone to Eddie Thomas, the manager of Colin Jones, trying to explain what his decision is.
In 2 minutes and 32 seconds of the third round, the referee has disqualified Colin Jones.
Oh, the referee has disqualified Jones.
For striking his opponent when his opponent was on the canvas.
Now the decision is that he hit Ramsey when his opponent was on the canvas. Now whether it was a punch that was really meant to hurt his man, or whether it was just one of those things that fighters do when they've got their man going and they can't stop it coming, let's have another look. Now that's the punch. Now those two punches. Motion at Wembley Arena. Sharing the top of the bill was a Commonwealth welterweight title fight between the defending champion, Colin Jones of Wales, and a man who'd come from the other side of the world to challenge Jones, Zakaria Vey of Fiji. It was Jones' first fight for 10 months, his first since he went down with appendicitis on the morning of the day he should have fought for the European title in Denmark last February. It didn't promise to be too easy a night for Jones. Well, let's see how it turned out right from the opening bell. So Jones having to defend the Commonwealth title when he thought he'd be fighting for the European title tonight. And it's all different. Zakaria Vey is now the opponent from Fiji. Short man, hardly any taller than Jones himself, who goes about 5'6". And Vey, well, very much an unknown quantity, of course, in this country, but his form is well recorded, and he's fought for this title twice already. He fought for it in Fiji, both times in 1978, against the now retired Canadian Clyde Gray, the former Commonwealth champion. And he got stopped in 8 rounds the first time and was knocked out in the 9th in the second fight. But Clyde Gray was a useful opponent. And, well, there's a lot of opinion in London that Vey might prove to be quite a difficult opponent. But he took the fight less than 2 weeks ago when Hans-Henrik Palm of Denmark, who should have put the European title up here tonight, refused to come. All sorts of promotional and political problems. And they called on Vey to come and take Palm's place. So he's had a few problems getting ready for this fight, and it was reflected at the weigh-in. Vey had to make 10 stone 7, the welterweight limit, and in fact was a pound over that at the weigh-in, and he took it off inside the hour. Jones, of course, this astonishing Welshman, British and Commonwealth champion, who can take any opponent out, it seems, with just one punch. Jones returns to the corner to manager Eddie Thomas, who used to hold this very title himself, the Commonwealth Championship. Colin Jones now with 23 fights behind him, 22 wins, just that one controversial defeat when he was disqualified in Wales for throwing a punch at an opponent who was on the floor.
Second round 2.
Of course, having a substitute opponent makes life very difficult for Jones, because he thought he was going to fight the Dane, Palm, who's about 6 feet tall. So he prepared himself with tall sparring partners.
And then when Palm refused to come and Vey was called in, he discovered that Vey was only as tall as himself. And Jones going all out for the win, and he may have it. He's hurting with body punches, and Vey doesn't look as though he likes that at all. And we're only at the start of the second round. He's never going to get up. He's totally winded. Harry Gibbs counts him out. And that's about 40 seconds or so of the second round. Colin Jones has successfully defended the Commonwealth title against the substitute opponent. So the man who was thought to be a dangerous man was taken out by a barrage of body punches. Simply couldn't absorb them. He may have been left a bit weak by having to make the weight today, but this is the series of body blows that totally unhinged Vey. There was one vicious left to the body that finished it. That was it. And he lay on the floor, gasping away. He was never going to beat the count. And Colin Jones of Gorsinon in Wales, in the official time, 45 seconds of the second round. 23-year-old Jones marks up his 23rd win in 24 fights and couldn't have made a better defence of his Commonwealth title. And so the man from Fiji has come all this way at short notice, only to be left gasping for air on the Wembley floor.
Then for Colin Jones, and bringing on the Welsh flag. There's a smattering of Welsh supporters here tonight. And it really is packed at the KB Holland, and the British Board Secretary Ray Clark leading in Colin Jones, manager Eddie Thomas, brother Ken. So the challenger, his first fight outside of Britain as a professional. Loosening up, greased up the face, he's not gloved up yet. And the statutory amount of bandage and tape around the hands. And Jones really tried to ignore everybody. It's the gymnastic young lady, really, who's getting the cheers before Jones enters the ring. There you are, a little bit of a wheel they've got out here in Copenhagen. So the crowd really cheering the champion to the rafters, as you would expect in Copenhagen, and I must say, shaking them too. Henrik Palm speaks very good English and very popular. There he is. Only fought once in Wales as an amateur. And a young gymnastic-looking lady getting the wolf whistles as the European welterweight champion Henrik Palm makes his entry, waiting to be gloved up. The champion, Palm, putting his palms into the gloves, obviously. At one point, they wanted to use 8-ounce gloves, but in fact, they had to use 6-ounce gloves now. There's a little bit of a war over the gloves, actually, rather like choice of weapons for a duel. And the Danish promoter felt that his man had more of the advantage because Jones is definitely the stronger puncher. There's a good close-up there of the bandages around Jones's hands. That's permitted. It fills the glove up and generally is reckoned to prevent severe injuries to hands, because that has been Jones's problem. Hit so hard that he's damaged his hands, but having only had a round and a bit in the last year, he says he's never felt fitter. So it's speed that the champion's going to need. He's already warming up for that. Good reach. A 6-footer at the welterweight limit's a bit unusual. So the rundown, Jones trying to listen to the Dutch referee's broken English. He preferred in broken Welsh, I think. Punch with the knuckle part of the glove, don't misuse the head. And presumably Henrik Palm, who speaks very good English, understands that. So the little formal touch of the gloves, and that's all it can be. Manager Eddie Thomas then. working as usual, of course, with Colin Jones. So right at the start then, reach advantage there for Hans-Henrik Palm, nearly a 6-footer, unusual for a welterweight. And Jones has got to get his punches away early to stamp his authority in this fight. He seems to be the stronger puncher, his record proves it, but he needs to be on target because he's only had a round and a 45 seconds in the last year and was laid low by appendicitis. And he should have been fighting this fellow for the vacant championship. But Palm then won it against a Frenchman, a so-so Frenchman, and this is the first fight abroad for Jones as a professional. And it's good to see Jones flicking some punches from the start, just making Palm aware that he's there, as they say, rather than taking stock. Good puncher to the body, Jones. Look out for that. Oh, well, that one really did miss by a mile. Nearly put the lights out. Palm, very useful boxer. 41 fights, lost only 2. But he's a bit short of distance, Palm. His left hand's not too accurate yet. It's dropping short in the opening round. They really are taking a bit of stock, these two, no doubt about that. It's a second right-hander that got away. You can't afford too many of those. Telling us that he's been using a left hook to the body, that he thinks Jones is vulnerable. So we're watching some videotapes of Jones in action, and he said, I think that's going to be my best shot. Well, we'll find out. Got to worry about Jones's left hook meanwhile. He really looks to sort themselves out opening round. Take stock. Scheduled for 12 rounds of the European, not 15 as you have in World Championship fights. There you go. You see, they're the hooks that Palm promised to use to the body, but to do that, he's got to drop his hands, and that's a good chance for Jones to left hook to the chin. Both boxers in view for you, and Jones listening intently to Eddie Thomas and Palm to Ball Crow.
Round 2.
Second round then, a very even opening round. The champion Palm does fancy himself as a smart boxer. He's a crisp hitter, but he's not known really in the trade as a destructive puncher. In fact, he's only stopped 18 of 41 fights. And they're using British-made 6-ounce gloves. Originally, the promoter tried to use the 8-ounce gloves, but at this weight, they're entitled to use 6, and that should be to Jones's advantage with extra punching power. He can jab a bit too, the Welshman with the left hand. Remember, he was twice amateur champion. So at the moment, it's by the left. It really is a battle of wits at this stage, isn't it? Tactics, trying to sort each other out, one to lure the other into a mistake. Jones certainly needed that opening 3 minutes to get some distance. having been only the one fight against a Fijian at Wembley, which was easy for him, and he knocked the fellow out with a good punch to the body. But to reach Palm is not easy. Switches those punches to the body well. He thinks probably that he's taken one or two of Jones's best shots, so he may be in for a bit of a surprise because he really hasn't landed his best yet. And he certainly landed it there. He peeled that left hook so well, and Palm at that point was a little bit overconfident and paid the price. The Dutch referee counting, I thought, almost out there, wasn't it? He's only just, but now this is where some world class has got to come in for Colin Jones. Easily had a punch or two in round two. And Palm trying to fight back, threw a punch that was low, and then the legs buckled away there. And it really looks all over. So early in the second round, and the Welshman's got it all his way. Oh, those punches are ripping into the body now. World class coming in from Jones. No doubt about it, he's justifying the world number 5 by winning the European Championship. It's so one-sided, the Dutch referee has stopped it, and a great win for Colin Jones then. Took his time in the opening round, said, I'll have a look at this fellow. One mistake by Hans-Henrik Palm, and the left hook, and it was all over from there. So in replay now, let's have a look at that. Palm at this point was just about fancying his luck. There it is. He unleashed it. It's the hardest punch in the book to stop, and Jones landed perfectly. Well, Palm all embarrassed about being knocked out. Stopped officially, but I mean, he really was ruined in that second round. And behaving very sportsmanlike, I must say that. Always nice to see a bit of sportsmanship after taking a punch like that, and Jones saying, I don't really know what that feels like, but it must have hurt.
So all the frustrations were worth enduring. Colin Jones looking stronger than ever, and now he is a triple champion, as was his manager, Eddie Thomas. Reg Guthridge talked to them both right after the fight.
Well, Colin, what a left hook that was. It's one of the best punches you've ever thrown, eh?
Well, one of them. One of the best ones. Obviously, very hard man to get to because of a good long left hand. But when I hit him, I knew it was nice and sweet. And I thought, he's got to go this round.
Nice and sweet. I think you put that well. You sorted each other out a bit in the first round, and I thought that Palm looked a bit overconfident, and then you nailed him.
Yes, well, he was getting a bit confident with left hands and trying to come inside. Well, really speaking, that was my idea, to jab my way in and come inside, but he started doing it first. So I let him jab to me, come to me, and I'll try and catch him as he's coming, which is quite a shot.
Well, Colin, with the impending retirement of Sugar Ray Leonard, there's no question about it, you're already high in the world ratings now. You must fancy your chances.
Well, yes, Eddie has said it all along, and not many people will go along with it. Okay, maybe I do lack with the top-class Americans and some of the top in the world for boxing ability. But when it comes to punching power, I think that's something I don't lack in. So I'm in with a chance anyway.
It certainly helps in this game if you can punch. Manager Eddie Thomas, do you think now that he can go on to win the world title? I mean, you've seen a little bit of quality finishing there tonight, right? And he is European champion.
Most definitely, Reg. But I did miss that left hook again. I only turned my head away to get some grease and get the sponge, and he was on the deck.
I should say MC Mike Shinfeld introduces them. He's ready for work. No, he's taking it out and having a little gargle instead.
Frank Warren, in association with Eddie Thomas, presents an international welterweight contest of 10 3-minute rounds, a match made at 10 stones, 9 pounds. Presenting and introducing in this corner, ladies and gentlemen, from Brooklyn, USA, Alan Boswell.
And there's the 6'1", very slim figure for a welterweight, isn't it? All the way from Brooklyn, New York.
And from the Salem, ladies and gentlemen, Colin Jones. And the weigh-in at 1 o'clock today, both boxers were within the stipulated weight. And the officials for this contest, ladies and gentlemen, referee is Mr. Ivor Bassett, timekeeper Mr. Ivor Campbell.
So as the referee, Ivor Bassett from Chiorki calls Jones and Braswell to the centre of the ring just for the final run down there. They both weigh inside 10 stone 9 pounds without divulging what they weigh, because if Jones is still in championship contention and he happened to lose at 10 stone 6, the welterweight limit, he might be in a bit of trouble, but he'd be in trouble if he lost anyway. So scheduled for 10 then.
Round 1.
So we'll see now whether that impressive singing of the Welsh here at the Van Lido has unsettled Braswell in any way. Some of the gymnasium touts tell me he's not worried, he's not overawed, but I can't believe that, because it was quite a moving singing that was going on there. And obviously Jones is going to practice the sharpness of that left hook back to what really is his bread and butter boxing if he wants to get back into the World Championship. But isn't he a tall fellow? He's going to take some reaching. Almost a carbon copy of Milton McCrory, who Jones has just fought twice, to a draw and then to such a close decision for the World Welterweight Championship. Well, at least Braswell hasn't frozen by the look of it. He may be, when he gets tagged, he may look different entirely, but at this stage he's going to take his chances. He's supposed to be 22, but now tells us he's only 19. And that he fooled the New York Commission to get a license and was subsequently fined when they found out. But there you are, they should have found out in the first place. But he's not using his height, by the way. He's actually coming down to Jones's height, Jimmy. That's surprising.
Yeah, he's adopted the opposite tactics from what I expected. I thought he'd have kept at a distance for the first few rounds. Colin's a notoriously slow starter. I thought Braswell would have got behind his jab, but he's doing the opposite. He's allowing Jones to tee off. One of these punches could get lucky and then put him right in trouble.
The last thing we really expected to see Jones leading with that left jab and getting through with it, because this fellow's got such an advantage in reach. But I tell you, they don't hit and run too much if you come from Brooklyn. You've got to be able to fight to survive there. Amazing tactics. Well, Jones won't have to go looking for this fellow, will he? Oh, left hook to the body. Those cheers almost cracking the paint on the rafters here. And he's going to try and bring him down the sides with the punches to the body anyway. A little bit of ring rust, I suppose. How long does it take a boxer to sort of shake off that months out the ring, Jim?
Well, it depends on the sparring he's had in preparation. Sparring's the main thing, and attitude has a lot to do with things. I mean, Colin's had 2 world title fights. It's difficult to come back to a 10-round non-title fight and raise the same gallop. So it's really, a lot of the timing is in your mind rather than in your arms.
Well, it's a good opening round because there's been some good punches exchanged. And certainly nobody could say that Alan Braswell came here scared of Jones. And it's his first fight outside the United States. It looks as though Jones is not bothering to sit down, or they're just late getting the stool in, I'm not sure. And a wash and brush up treatment at the end of the first round. Let's have a look at some replay there now. There you got they're almost bumping heads. He just misses with that uppercut there, Braswell, and that's where Jones is trying to rip punches to the body to try and make this fellow drop his arms, Jim, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a surprisingly good first round. It was a terrific opening round. It's not what I expected at all. I expected a far quieter start to the fight, but Braswell wants to win this fight all right.
I don't want to see that bumping and boring going on. It looked a bit like a billiard match there.
Seconds out, round 2.
Second round then. And the crowd feel, I'm sure, it's capacity crowd. Oh, he just dropped that right hand chin, right on his shin, came from nowhere. That's the punch that puts him away. The lights went out in style for Braswell, who had done so well in the opening round. And I want to bet that half the crowd didn't see that coming, and certainly American was in that half of the crowd, Jim.
Yeah, well, Braswell was always running the risk of staying close to Jones. Jones was going to get lucky with one of these bombs he was throwing. And that was a beautiful short right-hand punch, bang on the jaw, and Braswell never looked like beating the count. A lovely punch and a lovely finish, a surprisingly quick finish.
I think Braswell was looking for the left hook, because that's obviously on his best punch. But he didn't produce that, and he just dropped the real first right-hander on his chin like a bolt out of the blue. So he really is back in world title contention. Jones has been dropped to number 2 by the WBC and the WBA, but only through his inactivity. But boy, is he back with a bang with that one.
10 stones, 9 pounds. Presenting and introducing in this corner, ladies and gentlemen, from New Orleans, Billy Potts.
Just look at the size of this fellow, 6'1". Remember, only the welterweight limit.
Signing, ladies and gentlemen, Colin Jones.
There he is, Jones the punch from Gossynon, on the hills just above Swansea here.
At the weigh-in at 1 o'clock today, Potts scale 10 stones, 3.5 pounds. Jones, 10 stones, 8 pounds. The officials for this contest, referee Mr. Ivor Bassett, timekeeper Mr. Terry Merchant.
So a bit of difference there in the weights, because Billy Parks, who once boxed as a lightweight, can you imagine that at this size? 10 stone 3.5 against 10.8 of Colin Jones, and he really does pack every ounce into it. That's former professional boxer there, Johnny Powell, in Billy Parks' corner. He had 87 fights. So there you are now. Just sort of contest that Jim Watt and I are afraid to blink in, and I'm sure Parks is, because Jones can bring that payoff punch out when it's least expected, but he might have a bit of trouble finding this fellow. Remember that Parks has also beaten Alan Braswell, who was Jones's last opponent, and Braswell was doing well in the opening round in this ring. And then Jones found him very neatly with a double punch, a combination. But he's been very ice cold before the fight, Billy Parks, at the weigh-in today, and saying, yes, I fancy him, I like him. But he looks a bit more like a basketball player, really, than boxer. But he's been in with 1 or 2 good ones, lost to Villalma Fernandez on points. Well, Jim Watt remembers him because you almost fought Fernandez, Jim, as a lightweight.
Yeah, well, that's an upsetting defeat if Fernandez is outpointed him, because Fernandez was small for a lightweight, and when you consider the height of Parks here, I'm surprised he's losing points to Fernandez, no matter how good a fighter he was. But as I look at Parks' frame, I can't see it standing up to Jones's best shot, so he's very thin indeed.
He's obviously not in the world top 10, but he's one of these have gum shield will travel type of Americans, and we've certainly seen some upsets with American fighters, both at home and coming here recently. Tremendous tension in this audience, you can actually feel it. Packed crowd turned out, although they were aware that it was on live television. For good events, they'll still turn out for that. We've discovered that at other arenas of boxing recently. I wouldn't want to compare Billy Parks with Kirkland Laing, who gave Jones quite a bit of trouble for 9 rounds until the Welshman nailed him. But he's not exactly a hit and hop it type of fighter, is he, Parks? I must say, Jim, he's not the sort of opponent, if I were managing Jones, that I'd be in a hurry to pick, really, just for style.
No, far from it. He's very tall, very long reach. There's a lot of space under his elbows, and I think that's where Colin Jones will probably spend the first couple of rounds, getting under his elbows and hitting him to the short ribs. There's a lot of space under there.
Oh, he dug some punches in at the ribs there. That'll bring the guard down. He hasn't lost a contest as a welterweight, Parks. They parried that left hand well there, Jones. He's probably got a bit more boxing ability than we generally concede. Well, conservatively, we can call that a good opening round, really, Jim, because it was just sort of getting his range in there a bit, Jones. He didn't hang around too long. He used to be a bit guilty of that, but he's getting his punches off a bit quicker now, isn't he?
Yeah, and he put plenty of punches into, plenty of power into his early punches. Straight away, he was looking to hurt Parks. Parks is a bit more stationary than I expected. I thought he may have moved around a bit more. But he seems to want to try and hold his defence tight and counter Jones, which good news for us, because it'll make for a far better fight than if he gets on his bicycle and runs.
Well, a little bit of make-up in the corner there for Billy Parks. No, actually, it was just a bit of grease around the face that's allowed. Stops the chafing of the gloves a bit. And Eddie Thomas, promoter and, of course, manager of Jones and former welterweight champion himself. And that's the gum shield, which I've often said was invented by a dentist in London and worn for the great Ted Kid Lewis in the 20s. So round two. And there's all the hallmarks of an interesting contest, but I'm impressed the way Jones has got some authority into his blows, and particularly those to the body in the opening round. American punches down, obviously, at his opponent. He's used to fighting shorter guys, but Jones, although he's been in twice now with Milton McCrory in those blistering fights in the Nevada desert, and often you wonder whether his fire was doused a bit by that, but he didn't show it in his last contest, and he's still world ranked #1 by the World Boxing Council. Crowd from the back here even signal every successful punch of Jones, although he knows better than anybody what they're like. Well, the game plan is pretty obvious. Work to the body, then bring the surprise punch up. A left hand uppercut, Jim. That was one out of the book.
That was a beauty. That would have knocked a few people down already. I think we've learned that Parks can take a punch in the chin already, because that was a beauty. That was a real solid left hook to the chin.
Tell you what, as you say, he's a bit durable so far. He may have to unload a lot more bombs before this fellow will fall over, if he does. See the game in the second round, piling on the pressure with Parks. Is this beanpole of a man going to tip over any second? The time-worn phrase that the American fight game use about this fellow comes to fight, well, Parks does. He could have been forgiven for running a bit at this stage, but he's not doing it. There's certain confidence that champions have to have, and Jones is still hanging on to the Commonwealth title. He gave up the British and European to concentrate on the World Championship. The Londoner Lloyd Hannigan now is the British welterweight champion. Jim, he's really unloading punches, and this fellow's soaking him up, and look, coming back.
Yeah, but he's making no attempt to run away or to grab and hold. He's standing there and punching back. Very, very brave, but I think it could be his undoing, because every ounce of power that Jones has is letting go of these punches right now.
Well, there you are. One of the boxers get distracted by that rounds ball. So Colin, you could admit it, Jim. Were you ever distracted by the rounds balls, ladies?
No, I don't think so. I think I had enough to worry about at the time.
And that includes the wife. Just nicked around that right eye. I wondered where the splash of blood came on Jones's face, and it actually came from Parks and was difficult to spot. Doesn't look serious. It's well away from the eye. And manager Johnny Powell, ex-boxer himself, who almost fought Emil Griffiths but had an accident on a motorbike and couldn't fight for the World Championship. So the crowd chanting the Colin Jones song almost in soccer fashion. Very well behaved, the Welshmen. Great fight supporters. Round 3 then, and scheduled for 10. And a local referee, Ivor Bassett, comes from Treorchy. Well, if ever a man wants to impress his home crowd, this one does. Jones is really getting stuck in because it could well be his last contest in this ring. He'll have to go into the open air to draw big money, or maybe even go to America. And there's another champion at the WBA poundage that wants to fight him, Donald Curry from Texas, and I think that match can be made. It's amazing how Jones really is reaching Parks with the left-hand jab there. As I say, you can get back to the basics of boxing a bit, Jim. He was ABA champion.
Yeah, well, Jones has a very good jab, and we tend to forget about it because he knocks so many people out with the left hook and the right hand, but he has a very good jab, and he's having no trouble getting into range here. Although Parks has a far longer reach, Jones is getting into range all the time and landing good punches.
Difficult to spot, really, what Jones is trying for, Jim. The left hook, I would have thought, is his pet punch to start it going. He hits hard with either hand.
Yeah, I think it's just steady pressure, and he's waiting for a chance, and whatever chance he gets, he'll take it, whether it's a left hook or a right hand. I don't think he has one particular punch in mind. He just means business with every punch he's thrown.
Well, Parks, I might say in the trade, could hardly be termed a patsy, because he's already soaked up enough punches for some fighters to have gone over by now. Only saying today how kind the Welsh crowd around here have been to him, so he won't go away complaining on that score. Must be a frustrating man to fight, Parks.
Yeah, well, I was thinking the same about Jones, because no matter what you do with Jones, you can't seem to make him change his mind. He knows what he's going to do and he just gets on with it. But Parks is certainly making him work tonight, and Parks is not in the least bit intimidated. He's been hurt with hard punches, but he just keeps firing back again.
Plenty of oohs and ahs from the crowd with that one. But I doubt whether he can nail him in this round now. And remember, if the boxer does go down at the end of the round, they will continue the count. There's no mandatory 8 count. It's, if he gets up and the referee considers he's okay, he lets him box on immediately. But then he would take him back to the corner there if he has gone down. But it looks as though this fellow's very durable indeed. I tell you, I've often said that they have boxers in the gymnasiums in America who could come here and really create quite a bit of trouble, and it seems to have proven that way lately.
Yeah, I noticed towards the end of that round, Parks was carrying his hands a lot lower than he was earlier on. So I'm wondering maybe if the body shots that are getting through are beginning to take their toll.
Let's have a look at it in replay then. You'll see some body shots coming in here from Jones. Yeah, there it is, you see. Ooh, that made me wince, Jim. It's a bit too close to us, that one, wasn't it? But you're used to it. He's jabbed away well there. It's a little bit too late in the round, as Joe Lewis used to say. You'll have to start earlier. Fourth round then, welterweights, and it's scheduled for 10. With Britain's #1 world title challenger, Colin Jones. Really getting a stiff enough workout, really, a bit more than that from Billy Parks from New Orleans. Clothesline of a left hand he's got there, just keeps pecking away all the time. Nuisance, isn't it? No judges, referee only scores. Getting a a mild bit of success with that Parks. He'll slip inside it to Jim, won't he, Jones, any second?
Yeah, well, Jones isn't moving his head from side to side as he normally does. I think he's maybe a wee bit too intent to get his own punches on. Maybe now he sees the fight is going to go a few rounds, he'll maybe start thinking of slipping and sliding a bit more and getting inside without getting hit himself.
Well, if Jones is using Parks as a kind of carbon copy to fight Milton McCrory again, who's built very similar to this, that'll come in handy. Obviously, McCrory must be a little stamp above this, being world champion, but it's the right size for him anyway. It seems to me that Park fancies his chances a little bit. He's not afraid to take the fight to Jones either. Must be very difficult fighting away from home as well.
Yeah, especially in an atmosphere like this. But I don't think Jones wants to allow Parks to push him back the way, because then he can use his jab all night. I wonder maybe if Colin was trying to draw him onto a left hook or something. But I don't think it's a good idea to allow Parks to come forward.
Jones is getting a bit irritated by getting caught with those taps like that, and he's cut badly over the right eye, Jones. That's a load of bad news. That's a rarity with Jones. He doesn't normally cut as bad as that, and I'll tell you, it looks a bad one, Jim.
It looks a very bad cut, yeah. It's pumping blood at the moment.
30 seconds to go in the fourth.
Well, that will give the corner a chance to work on it. I think the referee should have the experience to give his corner a chance to work on it, but it looks like a bad cut.
Difficult to spot how that happened. I suspect it must have been a downward blow, because this fellow hasn't dropped his head enough to have cut him.
Yeah, I don't think it could be a clash of heads with the height difference. I think it must have been a punch, maybe the heel of a glove or whatever. But it's certainly a bad cut.
Well, this is where these seconds have to work so hard in that corner. Eddie Thomas, of course, had a lot of practice with the world lightweight champion Ken Buchanan with us. But you can see that Jones is saying something to Thomas here. How bad is it? And the referee will tot the points up and then walk over and inspect this cut, putting the adrenaline in there, coagulant, and a lot of pressure. But that has definitely put Jones in trouble. Seems like the year of the upsets in the fight game at the moment. Well, the referee now just going over to look over at Jones and say, is everything okay? He's got to make the decision, of course, on whether it should be stopped or not. Out early for work, round 5, and he needs to be now, Colin Jones. Not at the halfway mark yet. Jim, does that take quite a bit of heart out of a boxer when he's cut like that?
Yeah, well, you're the only one who can't see it, but I think Colin Jones is the right kind of fighter to be cut, if you know what I mean, because I think it'll make him try harder. I don't think he'll crumble. He's had a hard career, Colin. He's been up against it a few times, and he's always grit his teeth and come slamming back, and I think that's what he'll do tonight.
That's what stamps the difference between the champions and the challengers. Could do without getting in too close and mauling away there, actually, Jones, Jim, couldn't he? He can't keep it at long range. It's opened again, the cut, you see.
Well, that's the problem. When you're cut, the natural thing to do is to stay away, but Jones can't do that. He must get in close to be effective. So it's a catch-22 situation. Colin's just got to start letting the big bombs go again, and hopefully one will land and see if we can shake Parks up a bit. But he's looking a bit more confident now, Parks.
With that, and a word from Jones's corner. Eddie Thomas said that it's a nasty cut and he's worried about it. Well, I can say we all are, and presumably Jones, who won't really know the extent of it, he must be. Minute to go then in round 5. Jones can land the punch that counts. He just needs a little bit of encouragement, and he will not let this fellow off the hook, but it's easier said than done. He's got to land it first.
Well, thankfully Colin hasn't panicked. He's still keeping his boxing about him. He's looking for the shot. He's landed some good left jabs. It would have been silly if he had panicked and maybe run into trouble and worsened the cut. But he's settled down. He's still looking for the big punch.
Strangely enough, given more time, the seconds work on a cut and they can actually repair it. That's the only word. Better than people think as the fight goes along. Sometimes it coagulates and it doesn't worsen, Jim.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I think the good news in this fight is that a round has gone by and the referee hasn't even stopped the action to look at it. So that must reassure Jones a little bit that it's not a panic situation, that he can settle back down and get on top of the fight again. Thomas has done a very good job on the cut because it is a very bad looking cut. But it hardly bled at all during that round, and I'm sure the attention he gives it in the break between these two rounds now maybe just put an end to the thing. Maybe Colin can forget about it from now on in.
So the referee then, Ivor Bassett's popped over to that corner again. He's having a close examination of it, Bassett, but he's quite happy that the cut is well away from a danger zone, and he's just going over to check on Billy Parks because I'm not sure what he's saying to him at all there. He's probably just glancing at that eye injury too. It's hardly a match in set because Jones is worse. Round 6. Well, both Jim Watt and I, before the fight started, when we saw Parks, we thought, well, this fellow is bound to give Jones a run around a little bit. He's built like a fighter who does, and the word from America that he takes a good shot and comes to fight was enough to convince us, and we've been right so far on that score. Nonetheless, there's no question that when Jones lands the stiffer punches that Parks feels them more. Trying pot shots now, Jones, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's hoping just to turn the tide with one shot. I'd like to see him work to the body. Now the eyes stop bleeding, there's still a lot of room under Parks' elbows, and Colin can maybe put some nice hefty stuff in there. I'd like to see him try to do that. That would allow him to carry his own head a bit lower and keep it out of trouble.
Well, Parks certainly brought his heart with him because so much ambition here. If he could get a verdict, even if it stopped the injury over Jones, that really would put him in the world rankings right away. Parks looks like the kind of fellow who gets in good shape, doesn't he, Jim?
Yeah, he is in good shape. And he really fancies the job now. He's actually trying to force Jones back and having quite a bit of success, although thankfully Colin's punches are better than Parks and landing cleaner.
A lot of Parks' left hands are flicks, but those coming from Jones are more solid. Half a minute to go, and certainly the American's punch rate was quite impressive, really. He's always doing something, Jim. He's always doing something to keep Jones a bit concerned.
Yeah, but he's still trying to push Jones back all the time, sticking out that jab in Colin's face. It's a difficult job, as I say. When you know you're cut, at all times you think you're one punch away from defeat. But Thomas has done a very good job on the eye, and it doesn't look as though it's going to trouble Jones again.
quite a bit of success at the end of that round, Jones, didn't he? He was putting his punches together well. So there it is. You see, they've managed to patch that up temporarily. It always looks a rather gruesome side. I mean, Jim Watts, although he cut very seldom in contests, really, it doesn't mean too much to us. So we're going to try and have a look at the replay where we think that injury may have happened there. We'll soon see. So there's a bumping and boring going on there, but we're not quite sure whether... So maybe we can have a look at that later anyway, if we can find the spot. It was so difficult. Jim and I couldn't spot it, and we're only a couple of feet from the ringside. Round 7. A 10-round non-title, of course, although Jones is still the British Commonwealth champion. So there you are. Jones is getting the songs of encouragement from his crowd. And that's the first time that Parks' legs have tottered just a little bit, but I think he was a bit off balance, in fairness, although those punches to the body I think are helping as well. Jim, really, it's incredible the way that Jones's eye injury has stood up. It really is. At one point, we both thought it might have had to be stopped, eh?
Yeah, there's a real good job been done in the corner. Colin's landed good punches all the way through the fight, but he's never really shaken Parks. Parks is a very tough fighter indeed. He takes out a good shot very, very well. Colin's got through a lot with the jab. I think Colin's left jab has been one of his best weapons tonight. Good hard jabs, but they never seem to shake Parks. I'm amazed when I look at his body that his chin can be so tough.
Well, it's what you fellas in the game would have called a bit of a nuisance as neither's opponent. He really soaked up two of Jones's best shots there and came straight back. These punches are really getting in now. That ramrod of a left-hand punch, and is the American wilting? He may well be. Trying there, just bustling away inside Park to try and take a bit of the play away from Jones, and the referee pointing to Jones there. A little bit of a foul somewhere along the line. What a good round this is, the 7th.
I think Colin can score an inside of this distance win with his jab here, because his jab is really shaking Parks up when it lands cleanly.
Yeah, just about heard that bell at the end of that round. The crowd rising to Jones, and Parks welcoming that sit down there, and certainly needed it. Well, will this fellow fight McCrory, or will he fight Don Curry? So, you know, these things, you think they're just going to be warm-up fights, which is a term used by the press, incidentally, and not boxers. But it's got almost championship qualities about it, Jim.
Yeah, well, every contest that Jones takes part in is a final eliminator now. We can't afford to lose.
So we'll have a look at some slow motion now. Now, I think this is probably the incident, Jim. There it is. Look, you see where the left hand dropped in. There's a possibility that that was where the injury happened. What do you think?
Yeah, that could well be the incident, yeah.
Round 8. Swelling under Jones' left eye now. Oh. Well, it looks as though he's going to catch up with Parks now, doesn't he? Jones might have had to fight with his face just a little bit now to get in. It's the only way he can. But he's making it count when he does. Now we're on first name terms now with the crowd chanting. What a gutsy guy, and a persistent fellow, the American, isn't he, Jim?
Yeah, well, that right hand was enough to floor most welterweights, but he just takes the shot and comes right back again.
It looks like a shout of timber any minute if he hits this fella on the chin. But look at the way he comes back. Incredible. What recovery.
I think Parks smothered most of those punches. I don't think any of those punches landed cleanly. But he has plenty of heart.
So the cut's reopened, obviously, around Jones' eye. He's not going to mill it away like that and get away scot-free. He's got to risk it a bit. This is what the game's all about. If they're highly paid, as I've always said, they're worth every penny on it. Think of all the training that goes into it, let alone this bit. I've got a feeling the crowd will raise the roof if Jones can unload his bomb any minute now on this fellow, or any second. Oh, he just went the wind of those whistled past, and we could hear it here. It's really coming down to toe-to-toe gutsy fighting, isn't it?
Yes, it's a real war now. The strange thing, there's nothing fancy that Colin needs. The straight punches seem to be doing the best work for him. The straight jab and the straight right hand are the punches that have been shaking Parks up. The hooks have been landing in the top of the head and the shoulders and so forth.
So it was a hallmark of a good fighter, Jim, when a fellow like Jones has earned a small fortune in World Championships and still can come back and be in a rough ride and keep going. What champions are all about. Park there, there's Johnny Powell, the manager, and over there working quickly again on Jones's eye. And I tell you, with all the headaches of promotions, Eddie Thomas, who incidentally let in a couple of hundred minors today at half price and paid the rest himself into the promotion. What will they be saying in the corner there? Any idea?
Well, Jones is doing the right thing. It's just that it's a very good opponent and a very hard fight. Colin's not doing anything wrong. He's throwing the right punches and his punches are landing. It's just that Parks is able to take the punches.
Just have a look at this replay. There, see, there's his throwing those right hands. And he really just... Oh, he actually nearly topples him with the first one, doesn't he? But he's got long and good legs. They certainly prop him up. They're like stilts. Round 9. Scheduled for 10. And Jones is really showing the old signs of battle in every way. The mark around Parks' left eye has been patched up a long time ago. Trying to meet each other punch for punch with that left hand jabbing.
Yeah, I can't believe that Parks has never run off his feet, because some of these punches have landed bang on and they're carrying all Jones's power. He's an amazingly tough young man.
Minute gone then in the ninth. Well, none of the pundits expected this to go as hard as this, and neither did we, Jim? No way. We thought it could be as tough as this.
No, it was a surprise. I couldn't see a man with a frame like that standing up to Jones's best shots, but he certainly proved me wrong.
Well, strange enough, the editor of American Ring magazine was saying, hey, don't write this fellow off when he gets there, he's a tough cookie, and they're used to seeing tough ones out there. So I did have some reservations. Minute to go then. A little bit of desperation in Jones's fighting, and there has to be. There's only one scorecard going to be needed here as it finishes 10 by the referee, either Bassett from Triolki. No judges. How have you put it this way, Jim, at the moment?
Well, it was very tight. I expected a 2 or 3 round job for Jones, so I didn't keep an actual scorecard, but my mental scorecard tells me that Colin's in front because his punches have been better all the way through, and he's been the aggressor for most of the fight, but there's no way it'll be one-way traffic.
He's had the greater volume of punches, and of course quality of punch goes along with quantity in the pro game. Well, you're saying to yourself, you know, around a lot of money, Colin Jones is coming back in what he thought was, quote, ordinary, unquote, fight. Would it knock his ambition, do you think, to go for World Championships after this or not?
No, I don't think so. I think this is the difficult kind of fight for Colin, where he's on the line all the time, but he's not actually fighting for a title. The fact that he can keep his enthusiasm and keep firing away where everything's going against him, it just proves how proud a man he is and how badly he wants to win that world title. He realises he can't afford to slip here, so the natural pride he has is driving him on here. But there's no way he'll lose concentration, only one more round to go. I'm sure he'll just do the same as he's been doing all the way through.
I suppose. Yeah, well, there he is. He's remarkable. He hasn't said a word in the corner on the outside of the ring there. He's got a London agent been looking after him, Mick Williamson, affectionately known around the camps as Mick the Rub. There he is. So 10th and final round. And it's been really trench warfare all the way for Jones. There's never anything easy when you're at the top in this business, Jim, is there?
No, it's tough at the top, as they say. It's tough at the bottom too. But thankfully, Colin has the ambition and the drive here, because he needed it tonight. I don't know, oh, good shot.
Is he going to do it in the last round? What a finish that would be. Talk about bringing the curtain down, the crowd will go crazy. Parks has soaked up everything so far. I mean, the odds have got to be that he could even survive this. It's almost like a piston action, this Parks left hand. He's under fire and then he just prods away there. Instinct. But he's objecting, I think, to that. Parks, he's got his hands in the air as if to say, I could go on. The ring has been invaded. And obviously, if Parks was behind on points anyway, I think the referee was showing a bit of compassion. But surprisingly enough, there's a bit of booing even coming from the Welsh crowd, Jim. What did you think?
Well, no, I'm looking into Park's eyes right now, and they're shaking. He's badly shaken. That was a good decision by the referee. There were no knockdown, but it was a good decision, because Park's, for the first time in this contest tonight, his eyes have gone, and they've sat him down in his seat now. He was actually hurt.
Well, I made that about a minute and a half into the last round, and he really brought out the tricks when it mattered there. There's the official announcement from Mike Shinsfield.
After 1 minute, 39 seconds of the final round, ladies and gentlemen, the referee has stopped the contest to say Park's taking further punishment. Jones is the winner.
So there it is then, the jubilant face of Jones, and we'll be back to talk to him later. Meanwhile, here's a break. And here's Simon Reed then talking to Colin Jones.
Colin Jones, that was some warm-up fight.
Yes, well, I think they sent about the best the Yanks had over. Very tough game fighter, you know, and come back, he took some tremendous shots. I couldn't fling too many right hands early on because we've still got a bit of trouble there again. That's reoccurred in the gym again. But
you looked a bit sparing with it.
Pardon?
You looked a bit sparing with it.
Well, I had to be, because when I fling it, I had to try and make sure that I was landing with it, because I do it on the elbows and it would have gone completely again.
But have you ever hit a man so solidly, so many times, with either hand, and he seemed to have no reaction?
Yes, I'm sure they were feeding him jelly beans in the corner, because Jesus Christ, he took some good shots and he kept coming back and back. I thought, what we got here? And as I say, a couple of jelly beans and he was him and out again.
How worried were you with the cut? It opened up in the fourth round. Did you think at any stage it might stop?
Well, we've got full confidence in my corner, you know, when they do a cut, I've got no worries about that, you know, you're the best cut man in the game. So I had no problems with the cuts all. I had to do is try and keep him up because he was so strong.
If I can talk to Eddie Thomas, your manager. Eddie, that was some match.
One hell of a fight. I think everybody will be talking about that fight for a long time to come.
Did you despair at any stage that the fellow just wouldn't go down?
I did a little. He had a bit of trouble with his right hand from the second round on. And on top of that, he had that nasty gash. And I thought, good Lord, what'll I do? And I was tempted in the fifth, sixth round to pull him out. But I managed to stop it. It did leak a little once or twice, but not a lot. But looking at the gash, turn it on a bit, Carl. You know.
Yes, it looks pretty steep. Well, that, if I can bring in Frank Warren now, the promoter. Frank, will that set back plans? The morning papers have been full of stories of Colin fighting Curry for the WBA world title.
No, I don't think so. Myself and Eddie, Colin will be going out on the 14th of July to Monte Carlo, Paris Boxing in Europe. And we're going to keep our options open regarding both titles, but we're going to go out and see what we can do. And we aim to put on a title fight in this country, so Colin gets that advantage.
But it must have been marvellous fighting again in Wales, again with a fantastic atmosphere.
It's fantastic, but I would like to say I've been plagued by problems over the last couple of months, medical-wise, eyesight-wise, and now we've got a bad hand and a couple of bad little cuts, and things can only get better, it just can't get worse, it's what I can.
Colin, congratulations, a great fight, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, please. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the main event on the programme. Frank Warren presents a welterweight contest of 15 3-minute rounds for the welterweight championship of the world. Presenting and introducing in this corner, ladies and gentlemen, from Fort Worth, USA, the welterweight champion of the world, John the Lone Star Cobra Curry. And from Wales, ladies and gentlemen, the challenger, Colin Jones. At the weigh-in, ladies and gentlemen, at 10:30 today, Curry scaled 10 stone 7 pounds, Jones 10 stone 6 pounds. The officials for this contest, ladies and gentlemen, the referee from Puerto Rico, Ismael Fernandez, the judges from Denmark, Ove Elvesen, and from Italy, Luigi Priani, and the timekeeper, Mr. Jack Giddens.
Let's join our commentary team, unrivaled in expertise and experience. Jim Watt, of course, a former world champion, and Reg Guttridge, who's been at ringside for well over 50 world title fights. Reg, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jim. I'm still trying to keep young at heart. But these are the boys that have got to worry about it now. It could be an explosive first round. The champion has had 5 wins in the first round. Jones has had 4 in the first. Now, will they come out sizing each other up? Sometimes Curry is inclined to do that if he's had to drag to do weight, and frankly, I don't really believe that. He came in right on the button, 10 stone 7. It's a smallish ring, 18 feet inside measurement. The World Boxing Association supervisor, Jim Binns from Philadelphia, said, no, it's okay, it conforms with our regulations. Ismael Fernandez does not speak English, the referee. And it's Colin Jones, the soccer-style chants from this tremendous audience at the NEC in Birmingham. And really, you can't afford to blink, especially if you're here and paying £50 for a ringside seat. I think this delay might be waiting for American live television to join us for the first round. And there they go. Mexican-made gloves. There was a bit of a row in the dressing room about the hand bandages that Curry was allowed to use because he'd broken metacarpal bones in his right hand when he won the championship. Eddie Thomas really tried to object about too much, but I don't think there's going to be sizing up. They both know that they're stiff punchers. They both suffered from damaged hands, which is the perennial curse of a good puncher. But I have seen Curry in action 3 times, and he's a very confident boxer indeed. And if you're unbeaten for 7 years, amateur and pro, you've got to be a bit handy. But Jones really has to be fired up. Jim Watt and I were worried perhaps a bit about motivation, 3rd time up for the championship. But of course, fighting in Britain, not at home in his sense, but as close as he can get to it, must, I hope, put a little bit of fire into his punches. But it's a tough task. The bookmakers, they don't allow the heart to rule the head. They make it 3-1 on Curry. Kind of prepared for Jones to perhaps come out firing a bit more. He's often a bit slow starting. He's had 2 British championships that went to 9 rounds, but he's done it there when he had to come from behind to win those with Kirkland, Laing, and he really doesn't want to chance that with Curry. He's got to go in there winging punches, and he can dig Jones. Jim Watt is a real pros boxer, isn't he, Curry? Stands there picking them all, looking for the openings.
Yeah, well, they've both moved straight into punching range and stayed there since the first bell sounded. And nobody's backing off. Curry's just like the cobra, they call him. He's just watching Jones all the time, waiting for that lead to come out to try and counter that lead. But it looks like close range fight all the way through.
Certainly got a menacing look, Curry. And notice the way he has the variety of shots. Straight ones like that, just flicks them in, and then the 1-2 punch. Occasionally the left hand uppercut. Colin Jones likes the left hook, but he's also banged people over with the right hand too. Well, you can understand why this championship was sold out weeks in advance. It is being seen by millions coast to coast in the States and some European countries as well as on ITV. So countdown at least for the first round. So the punters, as they say, have had their money's worth here. We make that round over running just a little bit. Well, I tell you, dollars and pounds drip from every facet of this fight. It's reckoned to be the first £1 million fight that's taken place with all the ancillary rights, of course, of television. Yes. And then a sponsor came along, Ubix Copiers, and added to it as well. So it really is a big event, I tell you that.
Try that 1-2 down again with this one. Now, don't let him do all the work, right? Let him know what the right on.
Jim, what?
Well, they both landed punches in the first round, but I think the difference I've noticed straight away, Colin's taking the full force of Curry's punches, but Curry's managing to pull his head back slightly to take the sting away from Jones's punches. Curry's very sharp, indeed very fast, and a real good professional. But I'm pleased that Colin's getting into range to let his own punches go. I thought Colin may have had trouble landing punches, but he's managing to land, thankfully. Hopefully he'll start to get the snap into his punches in this round.
Absolute electric atmosphere. Round 2. Remember, it's scheduled for 15 rounds, the World Boxing Association. The rival one, the World Boxing Council, is 12 rounds, and British and European championships have now been reduced to 2. So it's the first 15 rounder we've had in Britain for some years. But with punches like this, I really would be surprised if the mathematics were wanted from the Danish and Italian judges and this Puerto Rican referee. A little bit of blood coming from Jones's nose. Worrying about a little bit of scar tissue perhaps around his eyes. He was cut in his last fight with the American Billy Parks Jones down in Aberabon. So a minute to go, gone in the second. A minor blood drip, Jim, in the nose, which is reddening Jones's face a bit.
Yeah, that's thanks to some of the solid jabs Curry's landed already. Yeah, Colin has an excellent jab himself. I don't think he uses it enough in some of his fights. But the fact that Curry's standing straight in front of him, I think a straight jab is possibly the answer here. Colin seems to be relying on hooks to the body, which are not getting through. A straight jab might just be the punch.
He tucks his arms in so well, the champion. You're more liable to hit elbows than body. He really is a gunfighter from Fort Worth. He stands there before he actually fires his shots. He looks to the target all the time. Only 23, Curry, is such a confident champion. I think he may have won the Olympic Games had America competed in Moscow, and he won the alternative games in Nairobi. What a variety of punches he's got, although both of them here. I tell you, the moment Jones throws a punch, he's getting every bit of support he needs from the crowd. But really, as I say, it's the loneliest place in the world in there. And I dare say, Jim, when you're in there for World Championships, as obviously you have been, you don't really hear it that much.
No, you don't hear it. This is the part Colin must be waiting for to get the fight started. I think Colin must be fed up with all the ballyhoo we've been hearing about Curry. He just wanted in there and get on with it. And thankfully, it's a good enough start for Colin. He's taking some punches, but he's getting his own punches back on again. It's a good enough start. It's a better start for Jones than I was worried about, actually.
I hope the referee doesn't have any trouble controlling this as we come up for the countdown for the second.
Second out, round 3.
So out for round 3 then, and they've just been using the coagulate swabs there to get into Jones's nose, but it's not more than kids might have in a school playground scuffle really at this stage. Hope it stays that way. And I'm impressed the way Jones has got off. He's realised that he's got to go down and throw punches. There's so many fights I've seen him when he's had a look at people for too long. So accurate countering though, Curry, Jim, isn't he? He's going well there, Jones, and then suddenly very fast counters.
See, his reflexes are so good. If you look at his eyes, it's total concentration. He's taking everything, every move that Jones makes, he's making note of it, and as soon as he sees a chance, then go the punches. His concentration's perfect.
Well, as for all this stuff about weight trouble, he hasn't shown it yet, Jim.
No, early days yet, but it doesn't look to me like a man who has any weight troubles. He looks fine, strong and healthy, unfortunately.
And sometimes it shows in the reflexes, doesn't it, a bit? You get a bit sluggish.
Yeah.
Oh, he's planting those right hands in a bit now. Curry, Jones, that's the stuff. The left hook's got to come back in the countering. He stays right on top of him, Curry. Hasn't backed off, but he will if he gets tagged. What a couple of good throws these are, Jimmy. Good solid punches the whole time.
Any time I've heard Curry's manager Gorman speaking, he puts great emphasis on the fighter being able to push the other fighter back, and you can see that already. Curry doesn't want to give it an inch. He's trying to push Jones back all the time.
Could be blooded in the mouth too, Jones. He's boxing a bit open mouth. A minute to go in the third. And it's the Colin Jones chance. Sometimes, Jim, the pressure of fighting at home can be a bit tough as well.
Yeah, well, you don't have any excuses, any stories there. It looks as though the bridge of Collins knows this cut, actually.
Yes, that was where it was coming from. I thought it was his mouth to start with, but no, it is the bridge of the nose. It's right across the bridge. Eddie Thomas is a very good corner man. He worked with Ken Buchanan when he was in trouble, and before that, Howard Winstone, both world champions, but he's got his work cut out here.
See, Curry won't take a backward step. If Jones comes at him with punches, he just covers up, leans forward, pushes Jones back, and then lets his own punches go again. Just won't take a backward step at all.
Go. Round 4. And as I said, manager Eddie Thomas has had to work there trying to staunch that cut across Jones's nose. And it looks as though he knows, Jim, he's got to go out and throw punches and take a few chances.
Yeah, but I think he knows he'll have to try and push Curry back because Curry's dictating too much, and it's a very, very difficult job Jones has to push him back.
Asking to see the doctor now. The Midland Counties doctors, the Puerto Rican referee. Don't normally stop it, a cut on the nose, but I think his eye has been, yes, it has as well. Oh, it's a nasty cut on there. What a shame in the 4th round. I had this dreadful feeling that it might happen, the scar tissue. So at the start of the 4th round, 2 minutes 7 seconds, they're throwing some bottles in the ring now. We could do without that. What nonsense that is. The doctor has to do that sort of thing, and I'm just ducking down now. It's stopped, I'm glad to say. Absolute idiots doing that kind of thing. It's totally unnecessary. It's not Curry's fault. We had this nonsense with Marvin Hagler and Alan Minter at Wembley, and we really do not need it in this country. The Americans is looking in, and we're disgusted about it as well.
You're only going to injure innocent people. Please don't throw things into the ring.
Quite rightly, the Master of Ceremonies, Jim, there saying that. Why does this happen? It happens very infrequently, I'm pleased to say, at boxing, but it's bad when it does. Jim, weigh that up. What a disaster there. It was cut worse than we thought, really.
Yeah, it was badly banged up. It was obvious from the early stages Colin was going to be banged up before he got into the fight. I was always worried about the first 4 or 5 rounds, how much punishment Colin was going to have to take. Unfortunately, his eyes and nose didn't hold out, and badly cut. The referee had to stop the fight. It's a tragedy the missiles coming into the ring, because we won't be able to get world champions to come here again. They just won't bring their titles to Britain anymore.
Of round 4, ladies and gentlemen, Jones has sustained a very bad cut. The contest has been stopped. The winner, ladies and gentlemen, and still welterweight champion of the world, Don Curry.
Well, it's crazy because there's no head problems here, Jim. It was all clean punches. I said he's got these kind of tomahawk type punches that he brings down at you from angles, and because Jones was cut in his last fight, there was always this fear that it would happen, but of course it's cut in a different place.
Yeah, well, it was actually a perfect performance by Curry. You couldn't fault anything he did. He took the sting out of Colin's punches that Colin managed to land, got his own punches off. Any time there was a burst of punches, Curry had the last word. He controlled it most of it, all the way through, more or less. We knew Colin had a very difficult job. I don't even think we realised it was going to be as difficult as it turned out to be.
You wouldn't think he's only had, that was his 21st fight, Curry. He looks as though he's a real veteran, doesn't he, with the style.
Yeah, well, I've never seen anybody quite so cool with defending a world title. An awful lot of talent, a tremendous amount of talent, the concentration first class, the way he puts punches together first class. I'm trying to fault the man, but I just can't do it. He's almost the perfect fighting machine.
Jones, ITV viewers sharing your disappointment. How bad was that cut? Oh, it's a shocker, isn't it?
Well, I feel so ashamed because I'm not even tired, you know. If I was tired and I was anyway, fair enough. But I feel very, very disappointed, frustrated, disappointed.
Were you surprised it was stopped?
I don't know how bad the cut is, but I'm very disappointed because I had so much left. I was just warming up now.
You say you felt stupid. Why was that?
Oh, I was stupid because I've got so much left. I like to... They haven't given 150%. I've got so much fight left in me, and I was very frustrated. Very frustrated.
What a way to lose. But what a champion he is, though, Colin. I mean, it was a tremendous opponent, a class champion.
He's a class champion, but if it hadn't been for the cuts that have been there at the end of 15 rounds, and he could have hit me all day. But he's so disappointed that I just haven't given. I've trained so hard for the fight, and I've never been stopped in my life before, and I'm just so disappointed.
He had such a variety of punches, though. Do you honestly believe it was going to go a long way?
I could take punches and I got forever, and I've never been stopped in my life before. 17 years a boxer, and due to a cut, I think I'm just a little bit disappointed because I feel so good. You know, I'm very disappointed.
Well, Eddie Thomas, what happens now? Because you said you were going to retire, Colin, after this.
Well, we'll have a good chat afterwards.
I feel sorry because we've all worked so hard. Myself, Gareth, Eddie, we've worked as a team. We've given everything. I've trained. I've sacrificed everything. Anything that I've always done in my life, I've sacrificed for the world title.
Do you think you'll be back, Colin, in the ring?
Oh, I don't know. I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed.
I shall ever forget the next fight either. Again at the Albert Hall, this time in April 1981 for the British welterweight title. The defending champion is Colin Jones of Wales, and his opponent, Kirkland Laing, Jamaican-born, the very man Jones had taken the title from exactly a year earlier, under extraordinary circumstances. Laing had outboxed Jones all the way for 8 rounds, and he was on the way to victory, until in the 9th, Jones unleashed one punch that wiped out everything that had gone before. And now here we were, a year later, watching Laing craftily outpoint Jones again, all the way through the early rounds. Surely Jones wouldn't escape this time, particularly when you watch what happens to him in the 8th round. Jones now seeking to get underneath, pries him open with the left hand, and really hit him with a punch that might just sow the first seeds of doubt in Lang's mind. That has to be the aim now of the Welshman. Jones hooking now with some venom. There's the right, and he caught him. He got Jones on the side of the chin with that one. He got Laing, rather, on the side of the chin. Left hand to the body. And Jones is hurt and is claiming a low punch. I thought it hit him in the side. Jones is definitely trying to claim a very low punch. And John Coyle is now having a word with Kirkland Laing and warning him about it. So the first little sensation comes in the 8th round. Jones groping on the floor and clearly distressed. And again, a good body punch from Laing. That one was right on the borderline. Definitely low. That was a right hand that hit him on the thigh. And Jones again is distressed and complaining. And Mr. Coyle is trying to get him up. And Laing gets another severe caution, and the signs are unmistakable from Coyle. You do that once more and you're out. Coyle waved his finger out of the ring. And
Jones still hasn't recovered in this 8th round. That punch, I thought, hit him on the left thigh. John Coyle having a long talk with Jones. On they go. So twice now, Laing has been cautioned for low punches. The second one most definitely was. Now then, will he risk going for the body again, having had 2 cautions and a very ominous warning? And he's hurt Jones with a right to the head as well. Laing is going in for the finish now. What a round this has turned out to be. Now then, can Jones weather this and find something to come back? The champion all over the place. And he weaves and ducks and slithers and slides, Jones, as his title hangs in the balance. And Jones comes back with a couple and one after the bell, and this time he hits Laing low, it seemed to me. What an amazing round that was. Jones on the floor twice, very much distressed and very much claiming low blows. The second one most certainly was, but he survived it well. Let's have a look at the first one. I wasn't too sure about the first incident. Let's just have a look now. Well, that's clearly low, no doubt about that. Lang's left hand, absolutely low. And that second one, as you can see, as I thought, hit Jones on the left thigh.
6 out, round 9.
And this is the round in which Jones finished it last time. It could just as well go the other way this time. Lang's mouth is hurt. His lower lip is bleeding. And Jones is going for the kill again in the 9th round, just as he did a year ago. Are we going to have an exact repeat? Jones has very clearly caused some damage to Lang's mouth. And Jones himself now is beginning to throw punches dangerously low. And Jones at the moment looks the more determined of the two. Oh, he's got him again! He's got it again! Unbelievable! Left hook this time. I don't think he's going to make it. He's having a terrible struggle to get up. His legs are gone and he's out. Would you believe that? It's all over in the 9th again. It's a total action replay of the first fight. That is quite amazing. Up goes Jones. I haven't seen scenes like it in years. People struggling to get into the ring. Other people trying to throw them out. And over it all, the triumphant figure of the champion, Colin Jones, distressed in the 8th, triumphant in the 9th.
Wasn't that amazing? If you wrote that as a piece of fiction, people would tell you not to be ridiculous. Laing later went on to beat the great Roberto Duran, so that'll give you some idea of his talent. And Jones, of course, took the same brand of never say die courage to Reno, Nevada, and got a draw with Milton McCrory for the world title. Another fight where the Welshman let the other fellow make all the early running.